Is Neon White worth our time? We're about to find out. Welcome everyone to episode 188 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, well, Tom, can white be neon?
I think so, because maybe it's like the gas, right? Like a neon sign could be white.
I guess you're right. And we are talking about Neon White, the game developed by Angel Matrix. This game has multiple release dates. Initially came out PC and Switch, June of 2022. Then PS4 and PS5, December of 2022. And then finally on Xbox One and the Series consoles, July 2024.
A little bit of a gap there.
That's a big gap. It's on Game Pass, and we got to play it. And I played it on the PC, 5.33 gigabytes on the PC. Tom, what about you?
Only slightly larger, though I appreciate that it also has a repeating number, 5.88 gigabytes on the Series S.
Look at that. That's why it took a whole season to come out.
Yeah.
So good on them for doing that. But we need to know, what kind of game is it?
I put first-person shooter platformer.
I just added one more word to that. I put first-person shooter platformer / racer.
Yes. And why, Chris, did you include racer? Is it telling information in your game loop?
Yeah. I wrote, get to the end of the level the fastest way possible.
I was slightly more verbose with mine.
Okay.
I put use abilities to traverse levels, killing demons to open the exit at the end.
Yeah, you do have to clear out those demons. That is the objective, one of the objectives of the game.
Yes. Kill the demons, do it fast, get to the exit.
Yeah. Get there. Lickety split. I don't know. Anyway, so let's go talk about those likes. Tom, what did you like?
Well, I mean, it opens with some exposition, of course. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I kind of like the idea of the plot here, which is they've conscripted ex-villains to fight demons to save heaven. So the good guys are like, well, you're a bunch of bad guys and we're going to put you to work clearing out all these other bad guys. And I guess if you do a good enough job, then you get a little time in heaven. You don't even get to be there permanently. So
yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, at least the way that they've portrayed the characters and stuff like that, the good guys don't seem great either.
No.
And, you as the villain, you're kind of rooting for yourself. Well, it does start with the prototypical, I don't know who I am.
Yes.
And the other part of it is you as a villain, supposedly, or someone that's done bad things in their time. You're dead. You are a dead person, or not at this point, a spirit. And they throw a mask on your face. So you're kind of like the Suicide Squad, because that mask blows up if you veer off their course in a way. So yeah.
Yes. They've chipped you with a explosive chip. It's just a mask.
Not the tasty kind. This game does have style, though. I got to say, for all intents and purposes, like the menus, just the character designs, and even the enemies are kind of weird. They're definitely anime inspired demons and stuff like that. I mean, overall it is very anime looking, but yeah. And it gave me kind of Persona vibes. I don't know about you, but
no, I could totally see that. One of my likes here is the comic style storytelling fits the tone of the game.
Right. The
game is filled with humor. You have the dialogue of these believers, right. And then somebody goes, I think it was the protagonist, he's like, they're going to do a tutorial, right?
Yeah.
And then it kind of walks into the tutorial. It's self-aware, it's funny, and so the whole comic book style works.
Yeah. And speaking of the protagonist, he is voiced by Steve Bloom. I wrote that because I was like, that voice. He's got a very distinct voice.
Yes.
The American version of Spike, a Wolverine in a lot of the newer animated series of X-Men. And he's done a bunch. Oh, Big O. I think it was Big O, right? He was in Big O as well.
If you say so.
Anyway. Yes, he's done a lot of things, and it was cool to hear. I was surprised that he was in this game, so I was like, I had to write that as something that I liked.
I was impressed that it was like really fully voice acted. Like
that's true.
It like the dialogue is all there. Like and it really comparing the subtitles to the spoken word, like the tone of the delivery of these lines matters so much that I'm very grateful that it is fully voice acted, because it makes a big difference. Right. If you were just reading this text, it wouldn't be as funny. It wouldn't be as entertaining, really.
Yeah, I agree. It was great. I'm glad that it wasn't the Charlie Brown voices or like the dot matrix printer or whatever noise, whatever the case.
Yeah, exactly.
But and I think overall, also outside of just the voice acting, the soundtrack was pretty good. It just like kind of kept you going. It has like a high BPM kind of style to it, and it got you going through the levels.
Yeah, I think it all kind of lines up, like you said, they're designed like front to back works. It can get a little bit wordy. I'm not ready to quite move to dislikes yet, but fortunately you can speed up the dialogue if you feel like it's getting, if there's too much and you're like, okay, that's enough of that. You can press a button and just kind of move through it.
Right.
I appreciate that. I feel like we haven't talked much about the actual gameplay mechanics. So it's fast and floaty, which I like. I think because I cut my chops on playing first-person shooters like Unreal Tournament,
right,
which are fast and floaty. So like I like that kind of almost like your gliding movement style. Tribes plays that way too.
Did Quake Arena play like that too?
I didn't play much Quake Arena, so I can't speak to it.
All right.
But it feels like those early, first-person shooters where you're moving at a clip. You're doing lots of damage really fast. Your jump, you're kind of floating through the air in a way that doesn't really make sense with gravity and that sort of stuff. But
you're kind of a spirit, so it's like it kind of makes sense. It's like you gravity doesn't really. Yeah, but I get what you're saying though.
And it's such a stylized game that it doesn't matter. Like it's not trying to be realistic at all.
Exactly. Speaking of the levels and all that stuff too, though, not just overall controls, but the levels are very quick. I would say you're in and out of a level, and you're supposed to be in and out of a level generally under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So you can pop in, grind out one level, and then be on your way to drop your kids off, or I don't know, do whatever it is that you have to do in your life, but. So that was nice to be able to see that.
Yeah, it's designed in such a way that it doesn't demand a lot of your time. I guess the early part of the game with all the exposition kind of does, but if you really just wanted to fast forward through all of it, you could totally do that.
You can.
And get to the game, and then when you're at the game, like you really can play a lot in a little bit of time.
Yeah,
progress.
The other cool thing is after every level, you have a nice little leaderboard that shows up that shows you against your compatriots on your particular platform, and then overall. It was kind of cool. As I was playing, I saw your scores, and I was like, I need to beat Tom. And I think I did for the most part, but you got me going. So I was like, cool. That's gives you the option, and like the fact that you can restart a level fairly quickly is nice. You can almost like instantaneously hit the menu button or the option buttons, and then just resets immediately. So it was nice.
Yeah, because you can get kind of stuck, and if it's sometimes just better just to start over.
Right.
Exactly. I will say that when you do get the hang of this game, it does feel really good.
Yeah.
Like you feel like, aha, I've got it.
Yes. Almost like a puzzle element to it, right? Because you have to, because certain times, because like, I guess to kind of go back to the mechanics, it's you have like a card based system in it.
Yes.
But it is not really like, we're not talking about, Slay the Spire or what the other card games that we've played. It's just that your character has to hover over, like walk over these cards. You pick up an ability. That ability has two abilities on it. One is generally it's like a weapon of some sort, and then some sort of, for lack of a better term, like platforming mechanic. In this case, generally it's like a double jump. Sometimes it's a dash and stuff like that. So so that was kind of cool. And then I guess as you progress, you have to figure out which card in your deck you need to use in a particular situation. So I didn't know how that was going to feel, but at least in the first few levels that I played, it wasn't too bad. I don't know how, but I thought it was an interesting mechanic. I'll say it like that.
Yeah. Because it does make you think. It's a resource management game in a game that's moving very fast,
right?
Which is unusual. Usually, you're managing resources in a slower paced kind of game, or a turn based game. This is not that. This is a resource management where you have to think quickly, burn moves quickly, and then you could get stuck, and then you just do it over again and be okay. Well, I don't burn it there. I got to hold on to it, or switch up your attempt.
Okay, cool. Are we good to move on to our dislikes then, Tom?
Yes, I do have quite a few.
Okay. I have some too, but I'll let you start.
Okay. Well, if the pro of this thing with the exposition at the beginning is like this cool ex-villain thing, I can't stand that every game that we play starts with the protagonist has amnesia.
Yeah. Where am I? What am I doing here? Oh, come on. It's been used.
Abused, maybe.
Used and abused, yes. Agreed. And especially when you have a talent like Steve Bloom on, it's like, hey man, so get this. You're going to be a character that has no memory. Oh, okay. I've never heard of that before. It's like, come on. He still did it though. So they must have paid him pretty well for it.
Right. They must have hooked him with some other part of the plot, because I'm sure it wasn't that.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was weird control wise.
Yeah.
That jump is on the left bumper.
Yeah. It's such a weird place to put it.
Yeah. I got used to it by the end, but it was still I kind of want to hit A. I don't want to use the bumper.
Yeah. I think they wanted to get you into of only using the bumpers. Maybe,
Okay.
But
I see. So like those buttons are just for menus and dialogue, and then your actual actions are on there. Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
I think that's what they were going for, but I likewise put that it was incredibly awkward, because that's not what I want to press to jump. So you can remap it if you want to.
Okay, it's good to know. I didn't even look at that. I should have actually, but I did. Did it feel better or worse when you did it that way?
I went too long with doing it with the left button first.
Yeah.
I think if I had switched it right away, it would have been better.
Okay.
So then my muscle memory had got set into the thing, and then it just felt awkward doing it the other way. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. While we've already sung many praises about Steve Bloom, I thought some of the other voice actors are kind of okay. Like there's one character that you meet. I think Neon Yellow is his name.
Yeah,
it just felt like a knockoff, like Seth Rogen or something like that.
Yeah,
just that kind of like, hey, bro. Like it's like, okay, all right. I got a little tired of hearing everyone else. I'll say it like that.
Yeah. Speaking of things that got me tired, 20 minutes into playing this, it started to get really repetitive, which is not a good time for it to start feeling that way, because it's only a third of the hour. But what it is that the levels are over so quickly that I felt like I was constantly in loading screens. Like I'm back at the start of the next level.
Yeah.
Then you play a level for like you said, 2 minutes. And then you're back to another loading screen. It just felt like I wanted to play more game.
Yeah.
And less look at screens, and less press A, and less hear dialogue, and less. It just felt like there was a lot of not playing the game in the hour.
And as cool as the overall style of the game is, I felt like some of it was kind of cheaped out, especially with the character models and stuff like that. Like you can literally see they have one character model, and they'll paste emotions on top of the character models. And then if they look away, they just literally rotate, flip them on the X-axis, I guess. And then so that their character was like looking away, they just flipped it around. I was like, okay, I guess that's a choice. And they went with that. So it was just felt a little cheap, I guess, in that way. But I don't know how you felt about that, but that's
yeah. I didn't write that down. I guess it didn't bother me that much. Surprisingly, most of my beef are mechanical. So I guess, while all my praise was on the plot and the style and that stuff, all of my dislikes kind of sit in a bad place if you're talking about a game, right? Which is the actual game. I hated like missing a jump and then having to restart.
That was frustrating.
Because that happens, unfortunately,
so many times.
And then I do feel like being forced to replay missions is pretty lame.
Yeah.
So like, let's say you get through a batch of these levels and you'll go back to like kind of the hub world. And then in order to progress to the next level proper, like into the next series of levels, you need to have a certain rank. And the only way to improve that rank is to go back and replay the levels that you've already played and get a better score on them, do them faster, get more medals, whatever,
Do they tell you at the beginning, the first time you play, I need to remember this. I can't recall this now. The first time you play the level, do they show you how to get like a platinum or something like that? I don't think they did, right? I think you only saw that after.
I don't think so, but maybe I just missed it. I'm not sure.
Because the same thing with the, when we were talking about Kunitsugami, like where that's kind of disappointing too, that you don't have any sense of what you're doing until you completed it, which again forces the replayability. And that also, like, I agree with you, like forcing me to repeat the level is frustrating, because on top of getting the best time, there's this whole other, like, I guess, relationship mechanic that we haven't even touched on, where you have to like grab gifts in the levels, and those gifts you can give to characters to rank up your relationship with them. I don't know what it does exactly, but it does something. They kind of explained it near the end of my playthrough, but I was like, I just want to try to complete another one of these missions or something beforehand. So yeah, that was that. The other thing I wanted to mention though was I did go back and play a couple of these levels because I was like, I can't lose to Tom, so I have to go back and try to beat them. It was like, it told me my personal best. It would say it was like, I could see its personal best, but when you look at my score, it still has the old score. So it didn't update after. So it was kind of annoying that it didn't do that. I guess the idea is that you have to actually complete or like exit out of this mission for them to save the new time. But it's like, it's a little jarring because it seems like you just haven't made progress. It's like, oh, good job, your personal best, but it's not here on the leaderboard yet. It's like, okay, it was weird. It was a weird thing that happened. So
yeah, some of the communication is kind of weird that way. Like the ranking system, I guess lower rank is better.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like because they're like scoring you in a kind of way, my brain thought it's like you need to be ranked, let's call it 90 to progress. Right. And I was 91. And in my brain, I'm like, 91's better than 90. Why can't I progress? But it's like, no, you need to be 89.
Right. Right.
So
yeah, because you're trying to get to number one spot, or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Like Afro Samurai, like that guy. Anyway. Yeah,
I believe
cool. Do you have any other dislikes here, or shall we move on?
I do want to mention, though I said in my likes that everything is voice acted, I kind of lied there. Because when you go to redeem the Heavenly Delight ticket redemption thing, that dialogue there is just text on a screen. It is not fully voice acted.
Okay.
Perhaps it was added later. I don't know why that's not fully voice acted when everything else is, but for whatever reason that area of character interaction is not voice acted.
Very odd indeed. Yeah, well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
And there it is. But let's get to our other thoughts here. How long to beat says this game takes about 10 hours to complete.
Okay.
So reasonable. It is also xCloud capable, so you can play it portably. So if you got Steam Decks and all that stuff, you can play it there. It's probably a good game on
I think it would be. Yeah.
Just again, one of those where you could just
pick up,
smash a level and move on with your life. What you got, Tom?
So the plot, the story is written by Ryan Shannon, who is the writer of OK KO Let's Be Heroes.
Oh, it all makes sense now who Neon Yellow is. He's the voice. Okay. Got it.
Putting it together.
Mm-hmm.
You already mentioned Steve Blum.
Yeah.
The neon rank was added because the people who were testing the game wouldn't replay levels. So in order to force their hand, that's why the rank was added. Which you totally feel that.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently the cards were originally random. But that made the game impossible. It was like way too hard.
Yeah.
So they pivoted the development over to the static cards, which paved the way for the whole kind of speed run style of the game. It's like, okay, well, if you know what cards everybody's going to get, then you can start optimizing for what's your time.
Yeah. Real quick, going back to the leaderboards and the speed runs and stuff, the one thing I was surprised about as I was looking at the leaderboards was a friend of the show, Chris Copeland from Retro Hangover, was just destroying. Like, he was like on top of my leaderboards. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I had to message him and be like, why? How are you so good at this game? And he's like, oh, it's not me. It's my kid. I'm like, okay, good. At least I explained that. I was like... So I was glad it was getting stomped on. But
somebody with infinite time, a child.
Yes, exactly. Well, Tom, now we need to know, are we keeping this on our respective hard drives or are we throwing it back to the pits of hell?
Okay. So I think the game is pretty fun to play. But the problem is I really do feel like I spent so much of my time like in cutscenes and loading screens and that sort of stuff. And for me, that mix is just off, and I'm not sure that I'm going to go back to it. I'm not ready to say definitely not, but I didn't play enough game in that hour. I felt, it was one of those things where I felt like I was just like listening to a story or watching a show most of the time.
It was like a Hideo Kojima production.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing necessarily, but like if I wanted to watch an anime, I'm just going to go watch an anime. Like it's not the right medium for this thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. This game is fun in short bursts, but I can actually see myself going back at least to make sure I beat your scores on some of these levels. So until then, I think I'll just keep it. I think I'll keep.
I'm not as competitive as you. You can beat all my scores.
You just show me a leaderboard, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll keep trying at least to not be last. That's all I care about. So
not at the bottom.
Just not at the bottom. Yeah. So those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think of this game. Follow us and say hello on Twitter and Threads at TC1H1D. Shoot us an email at TC1H1D@outlook.com. Check out our next streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hey, send us a comment down below. What's your best time on level 5? I don't know. I just made up the name, but yeah, that one. And, maybe we'll try to beat maybe I'll try to beat that. I will not. But 1H1D is part of the QTV network. And if you like any great gaming content, check it all out at quitthebuild.com/network. Now, Tom.
So we are all done. We can leave now. Yes. Nothing else to do. No?
Yes, Tom. We have to figure out what we're playing next. And the surprising button is going to tell us. So here we go. Oh.
Surprised?
This has been on my... It's been on my radar for quite some time. Unravel.
I guess we'll unravel the mystery of what kind of game that is on the next episode.
Yes, we will. And so thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this episode, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.